The Naira is having a free fall. There's a battle over collection of value-added tax. The cost of food continues to rise. Insecurity is a fact of our life now in Nigeria, and businesses are facing the adverse effects of all these factors combined, especially manufacturers. My guest on the program walks us through these challenging realities he and other manufacturers are facing, and how small and medium enterprises can benefit from the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement. This week on Dateline Abuja, the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry held the Abuja Trade Fair with the focus on just that, ensuring small businesses in Nigeria explore opportunities of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area through intra-Africa trade. And we update you on news from Abuja in our Abuja Wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with a rundown of major headlines from the nation's capital.
President Muhammadu Buhari received his Turkish counterpart, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, in the State House. At a meeting which was held behind closed doors, the leaders of the two countries discussed bilateral issues and signed 8 major agreements across various sectors.
As a positive outcome, 8 major agreements, memorandums of understanding on a number of the key sectors, including energy, defense industry, mining, and hydrocarbons, among others, were signed today. We have agreed that implementation is to commence immediately. Thank you very much.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over a security meeting with service chiefs and other heads of security agencies in the country. At the meeting, he directed the nation's armed forces and law enforcement agencies to ensure that no group or individual is allowed to stimulate anarchy and chaos in Anambra ahead of the November 6 elections.
The President has made it very, very clear that the armed forces, security agencies and law enforcement agencies must make sure that the elections take place. If it means overwhelming the entire environment with the presence of security agencies, if these non-state actors should succeed in destroying the potentials for orderly elections, then it is natural that other parts of the country will also want to copy this situation.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, met with the United States Deputy National Security Advisor, Mr. Jonathan Finer, who visited Nigeria. He used the opportunity to express Nigeria's appreciation that the Biden administration is fully back on board the climate change global agenda. Mr. Finer also met with Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyema, where he promised that the U.S. government is willing to extend its fight against terrorism beyond our border to Nigeria. He said the government is willing to support Nigeria in a new move to address global terrorism.
Security issues obviously are paramount, whether it's terrorism or piracy or anything else related to the security situation in this country that the United States can support. You mentioned democracy. The President is very much looking forward to convening the Summit for Democracy in December. A big pillar of this is going to be obviously issues related to elections, related to corruption, and we discussed that agenda here as well.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, wants Nigeria to become a leader in healthcare delivery across the world. Speaking at the International Conference on Health Access Beyond COVID-19, Professor Osinbajo says Nigeria has all it takes to make that possible.
Think what would have happened to India, which has reported the most number of infections in the world after the United States, if it did not have the capacity to produce its own vaccines. It is this proactive approach that we must take to the slow pace of vaccine access in Africa and, of course, Nigeria. So it's evident that the way forward is more funding for healthcare and research. for our innovators and to develop solutions in pharmaceuticals and medical consumables. To date, our administration has established the Healthcare Sector Intervention Fund Facility, which has disbursed about $76.98 billion, that's about $185 million, to finance the acquisition and installation of critical medical care equipment, as well as the expansion of production lines in various pharmaceutical companies across the country. The CBN is also supporting a number of research and development initiatives in the health sector.
Professor Shinbajo has been weighing young Nigerians to enter the delicate fray of politics in Nigeria. Speaking during a virtual meeting with Nigerian fellows of the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders, the Vice President says young people can only effect the change they desire if they are able to get into power. Also, Professor Shinbajo has been explaining how women and children are a key priority of the Buhari administration. Speaking at the 6th-year anniversary of Future Assured, an initiative of the Aisha Buhari Foundation, Professor Shinbajo shares the statistics of women benefiting from the various social and entrepreneurial investment programs initiated under the current administration.
Of the 2.4 million beneficiaries of our Government Enterprises and Empowerment Program, 1.2 million were women. That is 56.4% of beneficiaries were women. So a total of 38 billion in loans have been disbursed over the past 4 years. In 2020, the Federal Executive Council approved a World Bank credit facility in the sum of $500 million to finance the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment. This intervention is projected to benefit 6.2 million girls and boys also.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and members of the civil society organizations are asking for quick harmonization of the 2021 Electoral Amendment Bill and transmitting the same for presidential assent before the end of the year. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, made the appeal at the opening of a retreat of the Joint Senate and House Committee on Electoral Reforms.
I want to assure you that in a proactive manner, the Commission has been studying aspects of the amendment bill even before it's finalized by the National Assembly and assented to by the President. And we have identified areas that require formulation of regulations and guidelines, as well as the review of prescribed forms for implementation. This will enable the Commission to test run procedures and pilot innovations ahead of the 2023 general election. The speedy passage of the bill will be in the best interest of our electoral process. There are extensive provisions in the current bill that require clarity, and INEC must rise to the occasion to provide guidance. With only 484 days to the 2023 general election, time is of the essence. As you finalize on the electoral amendment bill, I urge you to continue to endow the Commission with power to determine what technology to deploy in our elections at the appropriate time.
The chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, General Buba Marwa, is warning that if there is evidence that any politician is found culpable in the drug business, such a person will not be spared. He stated this during the weekly State House ministerial briefing. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has pleaded not guilty to the 7-count charge preferred against him by the federal government. He took the plea during his rearraignment.
Welcome back. The Abuja International Trade Fair is an established multi-sectoral trade event in Nigeria that has grown exceedingly in scope and strength as one of the biggest trade platforms for international and domestic exhibitors to promote new product lines, assess new markets, build new business relationships, display new products, grasp developing trends, and communicate face-to-face with suppliers. The focus this year is getting these businesses to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Please watch this.
The strategic location of the nation's capital is regarded as a fertile ground for investment. In developing the nation's capital, the Federal Capital Territory Administration believes that the development constitutes an economic resource of unimaginable magnitude when the expected demand for services is considered together with the necessary infrastructural facilities that would have to be provided to make the city run efficiently. According to the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the nation's capital has a gross domestic product of $8.7 billion. Nigeria's unemployment rate hit a new record high of 33.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020. That's according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, which reported that a total of 23.18 million persons in Nigeria either did nothing or worked for less than 20 hours a week, making them unemployed. Another 15.9 million worked less than 40 hours a week, making them underemployed. The situation was further worsened by the outbreak of COVID-19, which is responsible for the 20% job loss among the nation's full-time workforce. Consequently, it's not a surprise to see many young people embrace small businesses as a means of survival. Residents of the nation's capital inclusive, especially those who came to Abuja seeking for the proverbial greener pastures. From the fashion designer in the corner shop to the carpenter in his workshop and the woman selling food items in the market, several types of micro, small and medium-scale enterprises abound in the nation's capital. This becomes more evident if one moves around the markets in the nation's capital. Small businesses account for 96% of businesses and 84% of employment in Nigeria. In the nation's capital, the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria reports that the Federal Capital Territory has over 485,000 small businesses, and this could be more considering the low level of business registration in the nation's capital. The Abuja International Trade Fair provides an opportunity for some of these businesses to showcase their products to Nigerians. This edition of the fair focuses on how to groom small businesses to tap into the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Abuja Chamber is actively partnering with relevant regulatory agencies to ease the business environment. We are working closely with Small Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, to ensure effective implementation of the new national policy on micro, small and medium enterprises. We are also in partnership with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council to upscale the capacity building for export stakeholders. Our relationship with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Industry is mutually beneficial, as the ministry has become a major facilitator to ease of doing business in the country.
Several Made in Abuja products are on display at the fair, as the small business owners lament the challenges they encounter while doing business in the FCT.
I supported, please, because someone might just, tell only people they know, but if you publicize it and people come with their plans, once the plan is fine, they should support us, honestly, because Nigerians are intelligent, we're smart, and we are hardworking. So we just need push, just a little push. So set up different programs to, help people that want to start up a business.
The challenges facing our clients and us there in Nigeria is usually maybe unstable electricity and maybe too much stars across maybe every aspect of the government. You see maybe local council collecting tax, state government and stuff like that. Maybe too much of tax collection is one of our challenges. The government should focus on maybe stabilize the electricity first, and then to make sure as money goes through young entrepreneurs, so that as young entrepreneurs are coming up, that will help us, people who sell machineries like us, to help Nigeria grow.
Nevertheless, the federal government is hoping that small businesses in the country can take advantage of the COVID-19 economic stimulus package to grow their businesses and ultimately participate in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
My guest on the program is Engineer Mansour Ahmed, the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. For Nigerian businesses to take advantage of this agreement, collaborations are necessary. Mr. Mansour walks us through this idea and many more challenges impacting negatively on the country's manufacturing sector. Engineer Mansour, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you, Kayla, and thank you for having me here.
We talked a little bit about, intervention programs, because that is the government's way of trying to cushion the effect of whatever you're facing, whether it's the impact of COVID on your farming business, or insecurity, or just generally the economic downturn that the world is facing.
Absolutely.
These intervention programs, but they're supposed to be temporary. And this is something that we're going to have to deal with for a very long time.
Indeed, yeah.
We're going to have to deal with insecurity for a while.
Yes.
And we're dealing with climate change for a while.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that, should they be thinking long term? These interventions, are they sufficient?
Yes, I think they
Giving people 20,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
Is this going to continue forever?
Obviously, it can't continue forever. It's not sustainable. But I think the intention of government is to provide some short-term palliative while they're looking for long-term solutions.
They're still working on
They're still working on that, yes. And unfortunately,
would you be able to suggest any? Is there one that could be a long-term solution that could help farmers?
One long-term solution is to prioritize in those areas that will create the capacity of the economy, the resilience of the economy. And we've been talking about this for a long time, that you have to build your manufacturing capacity. You have to build your productive capacity. And this is long term because it can't happen overnight. And one of the things we have said, for instance, and we are beginning to see some response from government. We said the productive sector is the primary sector for long-term improvement in economic activity. And therefore, in providing, for instance, resources like foreign exchange, you must prioritize the productive sector. You must allow those that have that need to bring in inputs so that they can increase productivity and also reduce costs to get the first, if you like, option for foreign exchange. And you must also ensure this has to be stable so that they can predict and plan their operations. And I believe that the recent action taken by the CBN to withdraw foreign exchange from the Bureau de Change, I think is an action in the right direction.
That actually brings me to my next question. Despite the fact that the CBN has decided to ban the sales of FX to BDCs, there's still a free fall. The Naira is still in a free fall.
Indeed, and that is because if you look at...
Can it be reversed? Because every Nigerian who's here, all they hear is the dollar is 570 today, or the dollar is going to 1,000 by next month. How the withdrawal of selling FX to BDCs, and then we're expecting that the Naira would increase in value, but it's not happening. We're still seeing a free fall.
Yes.
So how can this be reversed?
It's not happening because there's a lag between the action taken by government and the impact on the market.
What is explain that?
Let me explain this to you. The largest portion of foreign exchange being sold on the open market this is intended to go to issues like school fees, like hospital fees and things like that. But we know large amount of it is actually going to people who are just money launderers. You have collected Naira from whatever sources, and then you want to hide it somewhere in banks. And the largest amount of these leakages are going through money laundering. And of course, that also a lot of money is going into import of luxury goods, and also into perhaps even arms and ammunition. People who, the insecurity we know is largely driven by the massive inflow of arms and ammunition into the country. And this, we don't make them here. So a lot of foreign exchange therefore go into that illicitly. Now, those who are using this foreign exchange for that have very high appetite for foreign exchange. They are willing to pay anything. So even as the government is withdrawing foreign exchange, the demand from these sources, from these users is increasing, and they will pay anything. So they keep the price up, especially as the other people who need foreign exchange are people who use it legitimately, industries that need foreign exchange.
Your association?
Our association, exactly. And their appetite is limited because at the end of the day, there's a limit to how much you can pay for your inputs, especially if it goes into goods that you put in the market for which there is no, like you can't continue to pass the cost to the market. So to some extent, the solution is for CBN to be resolute. First, to continue to prioritize those sectors that really will drive prices down. But also, government must do more to address those illicit flows, whether it's for drugs or for arms and ammunition, or even for just money laundering. We know a lot of this money is going out, and these people will continue to push up so effort must be done from both sides to continue to, and of course, more foreign exchange must be generated. And again, this is promote export, because the more you export, the more you earn foreign exchange, and ensure that the banks and other operators in the economy are also not abusing the system. That foreign exchange that is earned through import, through export, must come through the banking system so that it is used in the economy appropriately. If people earn foreign exchange and then hide it and still come and demand foreign exchange, this is not happening. We also continue to pray that the oil price stays stable or even continues to increase, because that's the major source of foreign exchange to the country. And lastly, debt service. My understanding is that today, debt service is probably almost 70–80% of the earning foreign exchange income of government, and that cannot be sustainable. So I think government must also reduce or contain its appetite for more debt, until such time as we are able to generate the necessary liquidity to address this debt. So many things have to continue to be done. Many of these are longer term, and it will take time. So we believe that if we continue to put these policies in place, over time we'll begin to see the foreign exchange supply and price stabilizing and perhaps even falling.
As the president
Yes.
of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria,
Thank you.
what's your take on the battle over VAT collection?
Well, frankly, our take is that it is an unnecessary confusion. Because,
Why is that?
Yeah, because first of all, if every state says they are going to collect VAT, first of all, the question is the payment of VAT will become confusing, because you have your operations in, for instance, in Lagos and in Port Harcourt and in Kano, and each state is drawing foreign exchange, and where you are producing may not be where you are selling, and so you are likely to be taxed, to be pushed to pay foreign exchange in a different place. And we know that our regulators, particularly at the state level, are not always operating in a very responsible way. People will just, twist your arm to pay whether you should pay or not. And our feeling is that what the governments, both at the federal and state level, need to do is sit down and work out, okay, what are the concerns of both, parties in the VAT? Can they not resolve these concerns while allowing a single entity to collect VAT?
Well, there's a lot of work ahead of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria as you navigate this very tough terrain that we're in right now. But I want to thank you very much, Engineer Mansour, for being with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks to Engineer Mansour and the Abuja Chamber of Commerce for being a part of this week's episode of Dateline Abuja. It pains me to say that Nigeria's micro businesses, which make up the bulk of business people in Nigeria, may not be able to benefit from the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Government interventions, especially policy-wise, are necessary to help these businesses grow to where they can embark on these collaborations. It'll be a win-win for everybody. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.